The massive screens in Times Square went dark all at once. In London, the BBC broadcast cut to static. In Tokyo, millions of smartphones stopped working at the same time. Something was very wrong. It started as a normal day in March 2157. Humanity had just celebrated the 20th anniversary of their first Mars colony, and the lunar base was preparing for its annual supply run. But at exactly 3:47 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, every electronic device on Earth capable of displaying an image began showing the same thing: a message. The being on the screen wasn't human. It had gray skin that looked like polished metal and eyes that glowed with an unnatural purple light. When it spoke, its voice came through in perfect English, though its mouth moved strangely. "People of Earth," it said, "your time of primitive independence has come to an end. We are the Dominion, and you will submit to our rule." The creature's voice was cold and emotionless, like a computer trying to sound alive. In the United Nations emergency session, world leaders gathered quickly. The alien's message continued playing on a loop on every screen. "Your species has been watched since you first split the atom. You have shown remarkable progress for a young race, but you remain dangerous and unpredictable. We have guided countless civilizations to enlightenment. None have resisted. None have survived attempting to resist." The U.S. president stood at the UN podium, his face pale but determined. "The object that's broadcasting this message," he said, "is positioned just beyond Neptune's orbit. It's larger than anything we've ever built. Our best telescopes suggest it's nearly the size of Earth's moon." Around the world, panic began to spread. People rushed to stores, emptying shelves of food and supplies. Others gathered in churches, mosques, and temples, praying for salvation. Some simply stood in the streets, staring at the sky with fear and wonder. "You have 30 Earth days to surrender," the alien message continued. "Your current level of technology cannot harm us. Your weapons are primitive. Your defenses are meaningless. We have conquered species far more advanced than yours. None have progressed beyond their first lunar colony before accepting our guidance." But the alien didn't know everything. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Pentagon, General Laura Miller walked through a steel door that hadn't been opened in 15 years. Inside, a group of the world's top military and scientific leaders sat around a round table. On the wall, a digital counter displayed a simple message: "Project HUNDERBOLT. Activation sequence EINITA. HET." "They think we're primitive," the general said, looking at the assembled leaders. "They think we're predictable. They don't know about Mercury." On one of the screens, a live feed showed a massive construction facility hidden on Mercury's dark side. There, protected from the sun's intense radiation, stood humanity's secret weapon. They had been building it for 20 years, pooling resources and knowledge from every major space agency on Earth. The alien message played one final time. 30 days, humans. Choose wisely. Choose survival. In the hidden facility, General Miller pressed her hand against a biometric scanner. "They're right about one thing," she said as blast doors began to open on Mercury, revealing a massive ship unlike anything humanity had ever publicly acknowledged building. "We are unpredictable." The ship's name painted on its hull caught the dim light: EDS Retribution. In the streets above, people continued to panic, not knowing that deep below, humanity's leaders were preparing for a fight rather than surrender. They didn't know that for 20 years, their governments had been preparing for this very moment. The alien ship hung in space like a dark moon, waiting for Earth's surrender. But in 30 days, it would learn what humans do best: turn their weaknesses into strengths, and never, ever give up without a fight. On Mercury, engineers began the final preparations. They had 30 days to launch humanity's first star destroyer. 30 days to prove that humanity wouldn't just survive, it would win. Commander Jack Reynolds stood at the window of the lunar base, looking at Earth shining blue and white in the black sky. His tablet beeped with an urgent message: "Report to base commander immediately." He took one last look at Earth, wondering if it would be his last. 20 minutes later, he sat in a secret conference room 100 meters below the lunar surface. The base commander, an old man named William Roberts, typed something into his computer. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing a massive spaceship. "This," Roberts said, "is why we really built the Mercury mining stations." His fingers moved across the keyboard, and the hologram spun, showing the ship from different angles. "This is the EDS Retribution, humanity's first true warship." Jack leaned forward, his eyes wide. The ship was beautiful in a dangerous way. It was long and sharp, like a sword made for space. Its hull was covered in panels that looked like mirrors, and at its front was what looked like a massive lens. 20 years ago, Roberts continued, our deep space sensors picked up the Dominion ship. We knew they were coming. Every space agency on Earth worked together in secret to build this ship. Now we need a crew. We need you, Commander Reynolds. The next day, Jack found himself on a fast transport to Mercury. As they approached the dark side of the planet, he saw it, the massive construction facility hidden in Mercury's eternal shadow. The Retribution floated above it, its mirror-like hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the facility, Jack met his crew. Dr. Emma Stone, the weapons expert, was already studying the ship's main weapon, a massive cannon designed to capture and focus solar energy. Tom Martinez, the engineer, was checking the ship's self-repair systems, which used tiny robots to fix damage during battle. Dr. Marcus Webb showed Jack the ship's brain, an AI called Atlas. It's more advanced than anything the public knows about, Webb explained. Atlas can think faster than any human and control most of the ship's systems. We're just here to make the big decisions. Kate Anderson, the tactical officer, was the last to join them. She had spent years studying alien battle tactics from old space movies and games. Sometimes the best ideas come from imagination, she said with a smile. The ship's inside was surprisingly empty. Most systems were automated, needing only 5 crew members to operate them. More people would just get in the way, Martins explained as he showed Jack around. The ship's AI handles everything else. In the control room, Jack sat in the commander's chair for the first time. The screens lit up around him, showing views of space and the ship's systems. Atlas's voice came through the speakers, calm and clear. "Welcome, Commander Reynolds. All systems are operating at 98% efficiency." General Miller's face appeared on the main screen. "Commander, you have 2 weeks to learn everything about this ship. The Dominion thinks we're helpless. They think we'll surrender. In 2 weeks, you'll show them how wrong they are." Jack looked at his crew, each at their stations, ready to train. They had 2 weeks to become a perfect team. 2 weeks to master humanity's most advanced technology. 2 weeks to prepare for a battle that would decide Earth's fate. Outside, the Retribution's hull caught the first rays of sunlight as it turned, its solar panels drinking in Mercury's endless energy. The ship that humanity had built in secret was almost ready for its first fight. "Let's begin," Jack said, and his crew nodded. They all knew the stakes. They all knew that somewhere out there, past Neptune, the Dominion waited, believing victory was certain. They didn't know about the ship humanity had built. They didn't know about the courage of its crew. Most importantly, they didn't know that humans fight hardest when everyone expects them to give up. Dr. Emma Stone stood in the Retribution's main weapon control room, showing Commander Reynolds how their secret weapon worked. On the massive screen in front of them, a diagram showed Mercury's orbit around the sun. "The aliens think we're weak because we live so close to our sun," she said, pointing to the diagram. "But that's exactly what makes us strong. We didn't just build a ship, we built a weapon that uses the sun itself." The main screen changed to show the Retribution's unique design. The ship's mirror-like panels weren't just for show. Each one could move independently, capturing and directing solar energy. The massive lens at the front of the ship was actually a weapon more powerful than any nuclear bomb. "Watch this," Emma said, pressing a button. On another screen, a video played showing a test of their solar cannon. A beam of concentrated sunlight shot out from the ship, cutting through a thick piece of asteroid like it was butter. And that was just using Earth's sunlight. Here at Mercury, it's 10 times stronger. In the engine room, Tom Martinez was explaining another breakthrough to Kate Anderson. "See these walls?" he said, tapping the metal surface. "They're alive, in a way." He held up something that looked like gray sand. Under a microscope screen, Kate could see that each grain was actually a tiny robot. "When the ship gets damaged," Tom explained, "these little guys wake up and fix it. They use metal from our storage tanks to patch holes and repair circuits. The aliens might hit us, but they'll have a hard time keeping us down." In the AI Control Center, Dr. Marcus Webb was teaching Jack how to work with Atlas. The AI wasn't just smart, it was revolutionary. "Atlas doesn't just follow orders," Marcus explained. "It thinks ahead. It learns. During a battle, it can make thousands of small decisions every second, leaving us free to focus on the big picture." Atlas's voice came through the speakers, smooth and confident. "I have finished analyzing 10,000 possible battle scenarios. Would you like to review the most likely outcomes?" Jack nodded, and the main screen filled with battle simulations. Each one showed different ways the Retribution could use its speed and smaller size against the massive Dominion ship. "They're bigger," Jack said, watching the simulations, "but we're smarter." In the tactical room, Kate was studying the ship's defense systems. The Retribution had another trick. It could split its solar energy between weapons and shields. "The more sun we get, the stronger our shields become," she explained to the crew. "Near Mercury, we're nearly invulnerable." But the ship's most impressive feature was its bridge. Unlike the huge command centers in science fiction movies, the Retribution's bridge was small and simple. 5 chairs, each with its own control panel, arranged in a circle. Above them, a 360-degree view of space was projected on the dome ceiling. "This is where we'll make history," Jack said as the crew sat in their chairs for the first time as a complete team. Each chair could turn any direction, and all the ship's information was available at their fingertips. Atlas ran another systems check. "All systems optimal," the AI reported. "Solar collection at maximum efficiency. Repair systems standing by. Weapon systems charged." The crew looked at each other, feeling the weight of humanity's hopes on their shoulders. They had trained hard, learning every detail of their revolutionary ship. The Retribution wasn't just a warship, it was humanity's greatest achievement, turning the harsh conditions of their solar system into their greatest weapon. "They think being close to our sun makes us weak," Jack said, looking at his crew. "Let's show them how wrong they are." Outside, Mercury's eternal sunrise bathed the Retribution's hull in golden light. The ship drank in the solar energy, its systems humming with power. In 10 days, they would launch. In 10 days, they would show the Dominion that humanity's greatest power wasn't just technology. It was the ability to turn any weakness into strength. The day of launch came faster than anyone expected. Commander Jack Reynolds stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the countdown timer on the main screen. 15 days remained until the Dominion's deadline, and they needed every minute of that time. "All crew, report status," Jack ordered, his voice steady despite the tension. "Weapons systems ready," Emma confirmed from her station, her fingers dancing across the control panels. "Solar collectors at full capacity." "Engineering reports all clear," Tom called out, monitoring the ship's power levels. "Repair bots are active and standing by." "Atlas is fully online," Marcus added, as the AI's status lights glowed green across his screen. "All systems are synchronized." "Tactical systems operational," Kate finished, studying the defense grid. "We're as ready as we'll ever be." The massive doors of Mercury's underground hangar began to open above them. Sunlight streamed in, and the Retribution's solar panels immediately began absorbing the intense radiation. The ship hummed with power. "Launch sequence initiated," Atlas announced. "Detecting optimal exit trajectory. Warning, Mercury's gravitational field will require precise maneuvering." Jack took a deep breath. "Take us up, nice and easy." The Retribution rose from its hidden berth, its anti-gravity engines glowing blue against Mercury's dark surface. As they climbed higher, the sun appeared over the horizon, bathing the ship in golden light. The hull sparkled like a diamond in space. "Energy levels rising," Tom reported excitedly. "The solar collectors are working even better than we hoped. We're at 120% of expected power." As they cleared Mercury's orbit, Kate's tactical screen suddenly lit up with warnings. "Commander, long-range sensors detecting movement near Neptune. The Dominion ship is changing position." On the main screen, they watched as the massive alien vessel began to move. It was like watching a small moon drift through space, its dark surface reflecting no light. Even from this distance, its size was terrifying. "They've spotted us," Marcus said, checking the sensor readings. "Atlas calculates they didn't expect any ships to launch from Mercury. We've surprised them." "Good," Jack said firmly. "Let's use that surprise." Emma charged the main weapon. "Tom, divert power to engines. Kate, plot us a course that keeps the sun at our back." The crew worked smoothly together, just as they had practiced. The Retribution accelerated away from Mercury, its revolutionary engines pushing it faster than any human ship had ever traveled. "Commander," Atlas's calm voice announced, "I am detecting multiple smaller objects launching from the Dominion vessel. Analysis suggests fighter craft. Previous size estimates of the main vessel were incorrect. New calculations indicate it is approximately 37% larger than Earth's moon." Jack's hands tightened on his chair's armrests. The enemy ship wasn't just big, it was enormous. On the tactical display, hundreds of small dots appeared, representing alien fighters heading their way. "They're trying to stop us before we get close," Kate analyzed, watching the tactical display. "Standard containment pattern. They think we'll run. They don't know humans very well, do they?" Emma said with a grim smile, her hands ready on the weapon controls. "All crew, battle stations," Jack ordered. "Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for." He looked at the image of the massive alien ship on his screen. "Atlas, calculate firing solutions for the solar cannon. Let's show them what humanity's first star destroyer can do." The Retribution surged forward, its hull gleaming in the sunlight. Behind them, Mercury grew smaller. Ahead, the darkness of space waited, filled with approaching enemy fighters. The real test was about to begin. Tom's voice broke the tension. "Well, they wanted to see what humans could do. Looks like they're about to find out." The first battle for Earth's survival was about to begin, and humanity's best hope was a ship that turned their greatest fear, their sun's deadly power, into their greatest weapon. The alien fighters came in fast, their ships shaped like dark arrowheads against the stars. There were hundreds of them, moving in perfect formation. Inside the Retribution, Commander Jack Reynolds watched them approach on the main screen. "Analysis, Atlas," he asked, studying the enemy ships. "Enemy fighters are approximately twice the size of Earth's largest space fighters." The AI responded. "Energy readings suggest advanced plasma weapons. However, their formation indicates they are not prepared for our level of technology." "They think we're primitive," Kate said from her tactical station. "They're not even trying to hide their approach." "Let's show them their mistake," Jack ordered. "Emma, target the lead fighters. Tom, give her all the power she needs." Emma's hands moved across her weapon controls. The Retribution's solar collectors adjusted, focusing the sun's energy into the main cannon. "Target locked," she announced. "Ready to fire." "Show them what Earth can do," Jack commanded. The solar cannon fired. A beam of pure sunlight, focused and amplified by the ship's revolutionary technology, cut through space. 3 alien fighters vanished instantly, vaporized by the concentrated solar energy. The alien formation broke apart, clearly shocked by the power of the human weapon. Their return fire came quickly, streams of purple plasma shooting through space toward the Retribution. Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. The ship responded instantly, Atlas calculating and executing complex moves that would have been impossible for human reflexes alone. Their plasma weapons are powerful, Tom reported from engineering, watching damage readings. But our solar shields are holding. The closer we are to the sun, the stronger our defenses. Kate's tactical screen lit up with new warnings. They're adapting their strategy, breaking into smaller groups, trying to surround us. Let them try, Jack said confidently. Emma, switch to rapid-fire mode. Marcus, have Atlas calculate optimal firing solutions. Tom, keep our power balanced between weapons and shields. The Retribution spun and dove through space, its smaller size making it far more agile than the alien fighters expected. Every time they tried to surround the human ship, it would slip through their formation, solar cannon blazing. They're not used to fighting ships that can actually fight back, Kate realized, watching the tactical display. Their usual victims must surrender immediately. But the aliens were learning fast. Their attacks became more coordinated, their formations tighter. Several plasma bolts struck the Retribution's hull directly. Hull breach in Section 7. Tom called out. Repair bots responding. Damage contained. But we can't take too many hits like that. Through the bridge's dome, they could see the massive Dominion mothership getting closer. It was enormous, making their own ship look tiny in comparison. Its surface was dark and menacing, covered in weapon ports that were beginning to glow with energy. Commander, Atlas announced, at current combat rates, we will be overwhelmed by enemy fighters in approximately 12 minutes. The mothership's weapons will be in range in 15 minutes. Jack looked at his crew. They were fighting well, but they were still badly outnumbered. The alien fighters kept coming, wave after wave, trying to wear them down. We need a new strategy, he said firmly. Kate, what's between us and their mothership? Nothing but open space, she replied. Then her eyes widened as she realized what he was thinking. Commander, are you suggesting? Emma, how much power can our main cannon handle? Emma checked her readings. With full solar exposure, more than we've ever tested. But sir, that kind of power could damage our own systems. Jack smiled. Sometimes you have to risk everything to win. He opened the ship-wide comm. All crew, prepare for emergency maneuver. We're going to show these aliens why you should never underestimate human creativity. The Retribution turned, its hull gleaming, and began to move directly toward the massive Dominion mothership. The real battle was about to begin. All hands, brace for high-G maneuver. Commander Jack Reynolds' voice rang through the Retribution as the ship turned sharply, its engines burning bright against the darkness of space. Behind them, hundreds of alien fighters followed, their purple plasma weapons lighting up the void. Commander, are you sure about this? Tom asked from engineering, his eyes fixed on the rapidly rising temperature gauges. No ship has ever flown this close to the sun before. That's exactly why it'll work, Jack replied, his voice steady. Atlas, plot us a slingshot course around the sun. Get us as close as the ship can handle. The AI's response was immediate. Warning. Proposed maneuver will expose the ship to extreme solar radiation. Hull temperature will reach critical levels. Those are just numbers, Jack said firmly. Emma, how long will it take to charge the main cannon at that distance from the sun? Emma's fingers flew across her controls. At that range? Seconds. But sir, we've never tested the weapon with that much power. It could tear the ship apart. Kate's tactical screen suddenly lit up with warnings. The Dominion mothership is powering up its main weapons. They're trying to cut off our approach to the sun. They figured out what we're planning, Marcus added, monitoring Atlas's calculations. Their fighters are spreading out, trying to force us away from the sun. Jack smiled. Too late. Tom, divert all power to engines and forward shields. Emma, prepare the main cannon for maximum charge. Everyone, activate your thermal protection suits. The Retribution dove toward the sun, its revolutionary hull reflecting the increasingly intense light. The temperature inside the ship began to rise despite their best cooling systems. Paint started to peel off the outer hull as they got closer to the sun than any human ship had ever dared. Hull temperature approaching critical. Tom shouted over the sound of creaking metal. The repair bots are working overtime, but we're pushing way past safety limits. Enemy fighters breaking off pursuit, Kate reported. They can't handle this level of solar radiation. But the mothership, it's still following us. Through the bridge's dome, they could see it. The massive Dominion vessel pushing through space after them, its dark surface absorbing the sun's deadly rays. It was like watching a mountain chase them through space. At last, Jack called out, "Time to minimum safe distance for slingshot." Slingshot trajectory calculated. Minimum safe distance in 47 seconds. Warning, ship structural integrity at 64% and falling. Tom, status of the repair bots. They're holding us together, sir, but barely. We've got molten metal flowing across the hull. The sun filled their view now, its surface a churning ocean of fire. The Retribution's solar collectors were drinking in more power than they'd ever been designed to handle. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship as systems approached their breaking points. 30 seconds to slingshot position, Atlas announced. Warning, enemy vessel charging primary weapon. They think they've got us trapped between them and the sun, Jack said, gripping his chair as the ship shuddered. Emma, is the main cannon ready? Yes, sir. Solar collectors at 300% capacity and rising. But, sir, this much power, we've never. Sometimes you have to break all the rules, Jack cut in. Kate, plot us a course that'll sling us right past their bridge. Marcus, have Atlas divert all power to the main cannon the moment we make our turn. The crew worked frantically at their stations as the ship curved around the sun's gravitational well, riding the line between survival and destruction. The hull groaned under the strain, repair bots working desperately to keep the ship from melting. 10 seconds to optimal firing position, Atlas announced calmly despite the chaos. 9, 8. Through the heat haze surrounding their ship, they could see the Dominion vessel clearly now, its weapons pointed directly at them. They had one shot at this, one chance to prove that humanity's greatest strength was turning impossible situations into victory. Hold together, Jack whispered to his ship as they began their turn. Just hold together for a few more seconds. Now, Commander Jack Reynolds shouted as the Retribution completed its slingshot around the sun. The ship's hull glowed white-hot, repair bots working frantically to keep the vessel from falling apart. Emma's hands slammed down on the weapon controls. Main cannon firing. The solar energy they'd collected during their dangerous maneuver surged through the ship. The main cannon lit up brighter than ever before, focusing the power of humanity's star into a single point. When it fired, the beam wasn't just bright. It was like a piece of the sun itself had been launched through space. Direct hit, Kate called out, her tactical screen showing the impact. The beam struck the Dominion mothership right where HLS had calculated its shields would be weakest. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the impossible occurred. The massive alien vessel's shields failed completely. The concentrated solar energy cut through its hull like it was paper, slicing the giant ship from top to bottom. The beam was so powerful it kept going, shooting past the Dominion ship into deep space. Enemy vessel's power core is destabilizing, Atlas reported calmly, detecting multiple internal explosions. Through the bridge's dome, they watched as the mighty Dominion ship began to break apart. But something unexpected was happening. As the ship split open, hundreds of smaller vessels started pouring out from inside. More fighters? Tom asked nervously from his engineering station. No, Marcus replied, studying Atlas's readings. Those are prisoner ships. The Dominion wasn't just an empire. They were slavers. Those are the civilizations they conquered. The Retribution's communication system suddenly came alive with hundreds of signals. Alien voices speaking different languages, all being translated by Atlas. They were all saying the same thing. "Thank you, Commander," Kate called out. "The prisoner ships are forming up around us. They're offering to help." Jack stood from his command chair, watching as the Dominion mothership finally split completely in half. The empire that had terrorized countless worlds was ending, not by brute force, but because humanity had found a way to turn its greatest weakness into an unstoppable weapon. "Atlas, broadcast on all frequencies," Jack ordered. "To all freed peoples, welcome to freedom. Earth stands ready to help you return to your homes." Emma's weapon console beeped. "Sir, main cannon is completely burnt out. We'll never be able to fire it again at that power level." "We won't need to," Jack replied with a smile. "The Dominion is finished." Tom laughed from engineering. "The repair bots are exhausted, but they did it. We're damaged, but we're alive." Marcus looked up from his station. "Sir, I'm receiving messages from thousands of worlds. The Dominion's control over their colonies is breaking. The Empire is collapsing." Through the bridge windows, they could see the freed ships gathering. There were vessels of all sizes and designs, each representing a civilization that had been forced to submit to the Dominion. Now they were free, thanks to a human ship that had done the impossible. "Set course for Earth," Jack ordered. "Let's show everyone their new allies." The Retribution turned toward home, its battle-scarred hull still gleaming in the sunlight. Behind it, a fleet of grateful alien ships followed, ready to begin a new chapter in the galaxy's history. "You know what's funny?" Kate said as Earth appeared as a tiny blue dot in the distance. "They thought being close to our sun made us weak. They never imagined we'd turn it into our greatest strength." "That's what humans do best," Jack replied, watching the huge fleet of freed ships following them. "We take our challenges and turn them into victories. We take our weaknesses and make them into strengths." As they approached Earth, Atlas made one final announcement. "Message from Earth Command. Welcome home, Retribution. You've made history." The crew looked at each other, tired but proud. They hadn't just saved Earth. They'd changed the galaxy forever. Humanity's first star destroyer had done more than win a battle. It had proven that the human spirit could overcome any challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. The age of humanity's isolation was over. A new era of cooperation and friendship with alien civilizations was about to begin, all because a small crew had dared to attempt the impossible, and succeeded.